This is Mike and C, and this is another episode of You Can't Handle the Truth. So what's on our slate for today?
Well, we wanted to first follow up a little bit about the whole omnibus tort reform bill and talk about how now that bill that we talked about in depth in episodes 4 and 5, how that has become law.
It's been passed.
It's been passed. Governor DeSantis signed it March 24th. We were all scrambling around trying to do the things we need to do for our clients who could potentially be affected by this bill because unlike other bills, it had an effective date of the date it was immediately signed, which is usually not. It's unusual.
It's unusual. Yeah, it is.
So, are there some immediate things that take effect from this bill, Mike?
Yeah, and there's a lot of lawyers that I don't think understand what the bill. So I'll be quite frank. Statute of limitations. That's the first thing. That's the amount of time you have to file a lawsuit. So in Florida, ever since I've been practicing, it's been 4 years. So 4 years from the date the cause of action accrues. Simply put, you get into an auto accident today, you previously had 4 years to file a lawsuit. That doesn't mean make a claim, it means to file a lawsuit. Now that law has been changed to 2 years. So effective March 24, moving forward, it's 2 years. But if you got into an accident last year, the statute of limitations is still 4 years. If you get into an accident after March 24 of this year, it's 2 years. So that changes the time. I mean, to me, it just means you have to act quicker. If you have an accident, which you should anyway, if you have an accident, you have injuries that are caused by the accident, you want to file a claim for your bills, do it sooner than later. I mean, obviously, 2 years is a long time.
2 years is a long time, but definitely in terms of being able to resolve a case pre-suit, the 4 years was nice because there was a lot of possibility to resolve it that way. Because most of the time, if people have like disc injuries or are really hurt, it's going to take at least 2 years for us to get to a point to where we even know what's going to transpire with their future medical treatment. So it's kind of the opposite of what they wanted the bill to do, which was decrease litigation. And now what it's going to do is increase it because we're going to have to file sooner.
Well, this is what happens when you have people writing in laws. And again, I don't know what kind of offense anyone could take from this, but you have people writing laws that aren't practicing law. And so there's a practice of law and then there's what's written on paper. And I think pretty much everyone can agree that the individuals or the people that signed this in were mostly not people that do this on a daily basis.
No. And if they were attorneys, they're not necessarily attorneys who are working in this particular niche of law, which is very nuanced,
right,
and it's very specific, and you don't know how these laws take effect if you don't practice it. And really, if you're not a trial attorney too, there's some things that are even so complicated that only people who try cases like us, only people who try cases are really going to be able to understand. People who don't litigate, which happens. There's PI attorneys who don't necessarily litigate. Essentially, they don't even understand and how it's going to take effect. So we're going to be, dissecting this for a long period of time. And honestly, the majority of these issues are going to be fleshed out in front of a judge.
Right.
And there's going to be excessive amounts of judicial resources litigating these particular issues. So it's really unfortunate because everything they said that they were, the reason they were passing this bill is actually the opposite in reality.
Yeah, and just to your point, this change in law would have affected a recent case that we settled where we had a client that was injured at a skating rink, and she had an exorbitant amount of medical treatment that was all covered by health insurance. But this statute of limitations would have affected it because she didn't come to see the lawyers until over 2 years after her accident, which made a difference in the case because the facility threw out the skates. But that would have been a case where if it was, if it happened after March 24, 2023, her case would have been expired. She would not have been able to recoup the damages because she didn't file a lawsuit until more than 2 years after. So she had the benefit of the 4 years. So that's how it affects. That's how it is in application.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned the skating rink case that you have because the legislature actually have proposed a bill that essentially gives those type of facilities, skating rinks, more safeguards and particular immunity.
Perfect segue.
And that's something that's right now currently going through the committees. And I believe it originated in the Senate.
Okay.
I don't think there's a sister House bill yet. So it's passing through the Senate like easily, and I think will be for vote on the Senate floor soon. And then in addition to that, there's a nursing home immunity bill, and there is a RV park immunity bill. So there's lots of really beneficial,
Lots of activity.
I mean, the Florida legislature is very busy right now, but not busy promoting laws that are helpful for consumers. Some of the other bills that have now been signed into law in this special session, in addition to the tort reform bill that we kind of now beat a dead horse on, is the affordable housing bill, the school vouchers for all bill, HB1, so you could see the priority on that one, and then the permitless carry bill. Didn't you just get your permit to carry?
I just did. It sounds like I got it at the wrong time, right? I probably didn't need it anymore, right? With this new law, right? Or the new law is going to be in effect. When is that law coming into effect? Is it July 1st?
So that's a July 1st effect date. It allows people to carry concealed guns without a permit and without training.
There's so many opinions out there about guns, and I think, as with a lot of things, it's forming into you're on this side or the other. But I think there's gray area because I've been a gun owner for years. I can't think of when I wasn't a gun owner. Unfortunately, I haven't ever been put in a position where I've had to use my gun, other than at the gun range. But there's thoughts and opinions on it. There's statistics out there, and I don't know. You go on websites and you don't know. I took statistics, and statistics, you have to be statistically significant, but I don't know if we do that anymore. Or if we do, you can go on any website and find something that may support your opinion. So I was looking this up when the laws were passed, and I was wondering, what's this going to do? I mean, with this constitutional carry that's out in Florida, how is this going to affect the citizens? So you look at other states, New York State, for example. According to what I was looking at, and if you have something else that you find out there in the audience, let us know in the comments. But what I was seeing is that New York is one of the states that has the least amount of, fatalities with guns. Alaska, for example, is at the top, but some of those are because of suicide. And I think it's because, some of the depression that you see in people that live in states where there's total darkness for a significant period of time. But anyways, as I digress, New York is one of the states that has the lowest amount of deaths with guns. And does that surprise you?
That actually really surprised me, because when I think about New York City, I think about crime.
Well, it's New York State, but New York City is what we think about.
I mean, I know that I know there's a whole state there, but when you think about New York, you're thinking about New York City, you're thinking about the big city, and that crime is really prevalent there. So I'm actually really surprised with that.
Well, and then carry that over. Guess what type of gun laws they have in New York State?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, my understanding is that they don't allow people to carry
at all. So with a permit, without a permit, doesn't matter.
Right. And so I think that's the case also in Illinois, which is, again, I don't know how current this is because you go on websites and they tell you things. But that's interesting because then you would tell that would support the whole theory that, well, you shouldn't have any guns on your person because there'll be less gun crime. And then you got a whole other segment of society that says something totally different. I remember as a child, as clear as day, riding in my grandfather's truck, an old truck, and he had a rifle right behind him. I never thought he was going to use it. I was never nervous about it. It's how I grew up. He never had to use it as far as I know. So there's this whole thing about, is it safer now because we have constitutional carry? People will argue, well, the bad guys are the bad guys. The wrong people have the guns, so you have to protect yourself. And I think that's where the spirit of the constitutional carry law is. But again, I don't know. I guess time will tell how it's going to affect crime with guns in the state of Florida.
And I think it doesn't really matter what side of the aisle you're on. I think everyone can agree that removing safeguards and removing training and some sort of requirements for deadly weapons really isn't that great of legislation to pass.
I'm a proponent of training. So training, I think, is essential for all walks of life, including how to shoot and how to keep and how to be safe with a gun. So get the training if you have a gun.
Yeah, even if you don't have to.
Right,
still do.
Get trained. So.
All right. Well, so anyway, if you are interested about this or have some statistics from any other state, please feel free to provide them to us. Yes, because we like to talk about statistics. shoot it over.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Get it?
leave any comments, suggestions, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.